Hey Nancy, how's it going?
Hi, good. How are you, Dominic?
Good, thanks.
It looks like we got the memo.
Yeah, I like wearing pink. Only a real man can wear pink.
That's right. So, how was it to work with the edge of the world? There was so much going on. What was it that attracted you to the role?
I like that part of the world, you know. I've traveled to Southeast Asia probably between 8, 10, 12 times maybe. I worked with the orangutan orphanage in Sumatra, so I've been to Borneo quite a few times as well. I like jungles, I like animals, I like the food there, I like the people. Obviously, outside of all that, the script was something that was going to take me deep into that part of the world and immerse into that part of the world for, you know, a good few months. And I like immersive jobs. I like jobs where there's not that much acting required because you are in a jungle, you are sweating, and it is roasting hot, and all you have to do is show up.
So where would the filming take place?
We were in Sarawak, which is a province, kind of a borough almost of Borneo, which is obviously the largest island in Asia.
Mm-hmm. Now, your character, from the beginning, I had a good feeling that his belief, his passion was not exactly with Lord James. Played the role of wanting to be supportive, but yet his heart being at home.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. I think Crookshank finds himself stuck between two worlds, really. You know, he is enamored with Borneo and the travel that they've made and the opportunities that present themselves with new cultures. And, you know, they're obviously treated very well in Borneo initially, but he also represents the kind of British Empire, you know, king and country, and he wants to have a cup of tea at 11 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, he wants them to speak English and things like that. And right in the middle of this kind of balancing act is his best friend and his employer, James Brooke. So I think he's stuck. Brooke immediately kind of just falls into the culture of Borneo and is swept away by the romance. And I think Crookshank is right in the middle. So I was consistently trying to play both sides, which is, it's tricky as an actor, but it's always nice to have things to do when you're working instead of just saying lines and being there.
Mm-hmm. And what was it like to work with Jonathan and OTTO, who were the ones that you worked with the most in scenes?
Yeah, we had a great time. I mean, OTTO is a big football fan like me. He's an Arsenal fan and I'm a Manchester United fan. So we talked about football a lot and we watched football a lot, the two of us. Johnny's work I've enjoyed for a long time, and I was super happy to be working with him. He obviously always shows up and gives 100%. He had a lot of work to do, so we were just trying as hard as we could to support him. But it's like three Brits in a different part of the world, similar to what was going on with, you know, Brooke and his team in that time. So we were all eating bizarre foods and, you know, exploring the jungle and stuff, which I was always into. Anytime there was an animal situation in the jungle, I was always trying to be the person to pick up the animal and take it off to safety, or tell people that it wasn't going to kill you and stuff like that. I'm a fan of jungles and animals.
Is there a fun story you can tell us about you three?
Well, I'm trying to think in terms of animals. We were supposed to start a scene in the middle of a jungle, kind of breaking through to a village that had been sacked. And we were supposed to start a scene on top of a bunch of ants. And one of the locals said, "Can't start the scene there. Those ants can kill you." And I love ants and I know a lot about ants and I've studied ants. And I had a nature show for years, and some of the episodes that we did were about ants. And there is no ant on the planet that can kill you. So I said, no, they can't kill you. And the local was adamant, no, they can kill you, they can kill you. These things, if they sting you once, they can kill you. So I picked up these ants and I just let them walk around on my hand. And I was like, look, they're not interested in stinging me. And even if they do sting me, it's not gonna kill me. These are just ants, you know? So we took a few steps off into a different direction and started the scene. But I was astounded that one of the local actors had one of these crazy myths in their brain that, you know, ants can kill you, which is just not the case, you know.
Wow, okay, I didn't know that. I was starting to think maybe it was true.
No, there's ants that can really give you a nasty sting. You know, there's like army ants and bullet ants and bull ants. They can give you nasty stings and nasty bites. But in terms of killing you, it just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. What is one of the scenes that you found pretty challenging, being based on the atmosphere, the gear? You said, you know, it's just hot, kind of like uncomfortable.
I was very unwell the first day of filming for me. I'd come down with a pretty shitty head cold. So like high temperature, cough, sore throat, you know, smashing headache. And obviously when you're in 110 degrees temperature and massive amounts of humidity, that becomes compounded. So in the scene where, because obviously we shot out of order, in the scene where Brooke and Arthur wake up in the morning and come downstairs and he meets Fatima for the first time, and the king is kind of welcoming him and saying, you know, my home is your home and we'll feed you and we'll organize a feast and stuff. I could barely move. I was like sweating and I had this dress shirt on that was soaking wet. But I said to the director, let's just play it like that, because Crookshank, excuse me, Crookshank would be sweating and completely overwhelmed by what had gone on, and maybe he had a bad night's sleep. So in that scene, I can tell that I look terrible. I'm pale, I'm all washed out. So we did that scene, wrapped it about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And then I was lucky, I was off the next day. So I slept for like almost 48 hours without too many breaks. By the time I came back on set, I was okay.
Wow, that's amazing. Right now you mentioned the director. Yeah. What was it like to work with Michael Hussman?
Yeah, Michael's great. I actually went to Italy that year and spent New Year's with him and his family just outside of Rome, which was beautiful. I was in Spain seeing my parents. My parents live in Spain, and then I flew to Rome, and we went up to a little village in the countryside and had a New Year's Eve party and hung out with his kids and watched movies and played games and stuff. You know, we got on really well, Michael and I. He was obviously very busy when we were making the film, so we didn't get that many opportunities to spend time with each other. But we did go for dinner, we did, you know, hang out and have some fun on set. He's a great director, very, got a great visual eye. You know, he sees beautiful things and shoots them very quickly. So it's fantastic working with him.
And did he have to give you a stunt double for any of the scenes?
Not sure. I mean,
there were some scenes where there was so much activity going on.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think in all the kind of battles and the wars and the skirmishes on boats and storming of fortresses, I think that was all me. I don't think I had a stunt double. As far as I remember, I mean, obviously when they cut my head off, that wasn't my actual head that had been cut off. Otherwise that would have given me another headache. I have that head. I have it downstairs. It's in my dining room.
No way. I was going to ask you about the head.
Yeah, so when we finished the film, I said to the art department, what are you going to do with the head? And they said, nothing. We'll just put it in storage. Just put it in a cupboard and lock it away. And I said, well, can I have it? It's my head. And they said, yeah, if you want it, you can have it. So I took it on as hand luggage on the plane, which was great because I had it in like a little backpack. And when airport security said, what is that? I would say, it's my head. And they would go, what? And I would pull it out by the hair.
They're like, okay, put it away.
I'm like, oh God, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. But yeah, it's on my dining room table now. So that's cool.
Oh, I wish I could see it.
I should have brought it.
Why would you have it in the dining table?
Well, my living room is kind of full of animals and artwork, and it's always a bit messy in my living room, and I didn't want to put it in my kitchen. And I have a big dining room table, so it's kind of sat on a special kind of ornamental plate on my dining room table, almost as if it's the next thing that we're going to eat for dinner.
Yeah, I kind of envision something like that. So it's part of the holiday gatherings.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the eyeballs would be quite, tasty and tender.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like for the making of it?
You just have to kind of get into a meditative state, really. They pour a very liquid kind of plaster of Paris thing down to the bottom of your neck. And then once that starts to set, they then take thicker bandages and they put it across your head, pushing pressure down onto all these areas to make sure that it follows the contours of your face. You breathe through your nose, you can't breathe out of your mouth. You can't see, obviously, because it's all covered. And you sit there for about 35 or 40 minutes and they let it dry. You can't hear anything because it's all over your ears as well. And then they cut it straight down the middle and crack yourself open. It feels like you're like becoming born when they crack you out of it. It's fine. I wouldn't necessarily describe it as a pleasant experience. The first half an hour, I just kind of meditated, but then in the last 10 minutes, you just wonder if people have forgotten about you because you can't hear anything, you can't see anything. I was reaching out to touch people and there was no one there, it felt like. So yeah, it was kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun.
It was an experience. I'd done it before. I did it for Lord of the Rings, so I'd had the experience before. But yeah, it's if you have any issues with claustrophobia, it's an issue.
Okay, all right. And can you talk a little bit about a couple more of the scenes that you enjoyed filming?
Well, I mean, I always liked filming with Johnny and Otto. And SHAHEIZY, who plays Sabu, kind of Johnny's local assistant, the kind of local guy who speaks the native language and stuff. We just all got on really well, and obviously with him being much more local, as an Indonesian actor, he could take us out for dinner and recommend stuff and order it in the native tongue, So I think just spending time with the boys in the jungle and, finding creatures and trying to avoid the sun was probably my favorite moments. And then exploring Sarawak, which is a really fun city. They have like a nice little cafe and bar scene and the whole crew is out most nights. So I think those were the special moments. I remember Otto and I rapped one day. And instead of just rapping and going home, we rapped and then ran into the sea. And we swam in the sea for half an hour. And then we came out and got changed and left. And you don't get too many opportunities to do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
And speaking of Otto, you got to work with an actor that kind of, in a way, he plays in the film an Alex writer, trying to investigate and try to get help.
Right. Yeah. I think his character eventually takes the role of Johnny's character in history. So he's constantly watching, constantly working out, is his cousin making the right decisions? And ultimately, he ends up becoming the new Raja of that particular part of the world. So I think Otto's almost like, the next in command. So he has to kind of watch what Johnny does and try and copy him in a way. So there is a little bit of investigating going on and sleuthing going on, But yeah, we had a lot of fun, Otto and I. Like I said, he's a big football fan. He was watching Arsenal and I was dragged along to some Arsenal games, and then I dragged him along to some Manchester United games, and we went off for weekends every so often exploring jungles and having fun and stuff. It was great.
Great. So to start wrapping up, is there something you can share that we'll be seeing you in or potentially working on?
I just launched a podcast with a friend of mine from Lord of the Rings because the world needs another podcast. We're currently number 1 in the world, which is pretty cool. It's called The Friendship Onion.
Congratulations.
So you can, thanks. You can get that podcast anywhere that you find your podcast, whether that's Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's basically my friend Billy and I from Lord of the Rings sat around sharing secrets about those movies and also just life in general. So that's kind of keeping me busy right now. We did another episode yesterday, which will be fun.
Fun. And right now you mentioned Lord of the Rings, but we've seen you in so many roles. If you had a chance to relive one role, which one would it be?
I don't know. It's a good question. If it's just one.
Sure, you can say two.
Say again?
You could say two.
I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, I don't know if I would change anything about my experience on Lord of the Rings because it was pretty perfect. So I don't know if I would want to relive that, but maybe Lost. There might be a few things that I would do differently on Lost. Yeah, we'll say Lost.
By the way, it left me with so many questions, that ending of Lost. Did you share the same?
I didn't see it. I don't watch the stuff that I do, you know, so I didn't see it.
You don't watch any of your projects?
I watch them once to make sure that they're not embarrassing and I know what I'm talking about. And then no, I don't watch it because I just spend all my time thinking, I could have done that better, could have done that better, could have done that better, could have done that better.
Oh, you're your harsh critic.
I just think that's art. I think that's what happens with art. If you create a piece of art, it's never finished. You can always change it, improve it, go in a different direction. So I don't necessarily feel that I'm like a hypercritical, insecure actor. I just think that's the thing about creating a piece of art. It's never done. So I constantly just look at my work and go, yeah, that was okay, but you could have done it like this as well, and you could have done it like that, and you could have done it like this, you know? So.
Well, acting is an art, so that leads me to another question. What kind of art, what kind of roles would you look forward to playing in the near future?
I always just like playing different characters, you know, like I'm drawn to things that allow me to do different things, you know. So if I've played a good guy, then the next thing that I want to do is play a bad guy. If I've played someone who's complicated, I want to play someone who's simple, you know. So I don't necessarily kind of look for a science fiction role or a fantasy role or a drama role. I'm always just looking for characters that allow me to do something that I don't think I've presented to an audience yet, because my thing is not being pigeonholed. I don't want to get myself into a situation where people say, oh, that's a typical role that he would do. You know, I want to consistently change it up. So that's my thing with my agent, is I always just say, just send me something that's different from what I've previously done. So who knows what will be next? We'll see.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time and discussing this new project of yours. I was happy to take a break from vacation to speak to you.
Cool, thanks, Nancy. Well, I love the lamp behind you. That's epic. So where are you on vacation?
Right now I'm in Florida. I'm actually in Isla Morada near the Keys in Florida.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I filmed there, Florida Keys. Very cool. Worked with alligators down in Florida. That was fun.
I haven't gone to the alligators yet. Louisiana is going to be next, so that should be interesting.
Well, have a great vacation.
Thank you so much. A pleasure again to speak with you, and good luck in your future projects. And
Thanks, Nancy. You too.
Thank you.
See ya.